So we've been talking about matrices, and matrices is just a collection of numbers. Usually it's data representing something certain, and you put them in columns and rows, and you have them bounded by these brackets here. Now, matrices are of different sizes. This is a 3 by 2 here because we've got 3 rows, 2 columns. This down here is a 2 by 3 because I have 2 rows, 3 columns. And if you're going to add them together or subtract them, you have to make sure that they're the same size. So these have 2 columns, this has 2 columns, 3 rows, 3 rows. Now, adding matrices is really, really easy. And once you realize how easy it is, you'll find that this is a really simple concept. So the idea with matrices is that the entry that you have in that top left corner matches up with the entry of the top left corner of the other one. And so when you're adding these together, you're going to add those two numbers together. So 5 plus 2 is 7, and I'll put those in the top left corner of the matrix. So then we have the -9 in the top right and the 8 in the top right. So I'm going to add those together, and I'll put that answer in the top right corner of the matrix. And we keep on going that way. So I have a -4 in the middle on the left, and I have 1 on the middle of the left there. So if I add those together, I get -3, and I'll put that in the middle left. Then I have the 1 on the middle right and the 9 on the middle right. Add those together, I get 10. I have -1 on the bottom left and -3 on the bottom left. So I add those together, I get -4. And then I have 4 on the bottom right and -1 on the bottom right. That gives me 3 on the bottom right. Now notice my answer is going to be exactly this. I'm not going to change anything. I'm not putting them together. It should be the exact same size as the original problem was, both of the originals. It's just different numbers that have been added together. Now subtracting is going to be the exact same thing, except now we have to subtract. So be careful when you're subtracting a negative, because that can always become confusing for any type of problem. So we'll start out with the top left is -5 and the top right is -2. So I'm going to write this out, -5 minus -2. The two negatives cancel to become a plus. So I have -5 plus 2 is -3. Then we can go on to the middle on the top. We have 4 minus 0, which will give me 4. Always remember you're subtracting here. We have -2 minus 1. That will give me a -3, so I'm going to put that in the top right where those other ones were. Then on the bottom, we have -10 on the left, minus 8. That will give me a -18, so my answer goes in the bottom left. Then we have the bottom middle, 11 minus -6. I'm going to write this one out again. So we have 11 minus -6. I have 2 negatives. I'm going to add them together. 11 plus 6 is 17. That goes in the bottom middle. And then we have 6 minus 2. 6 minus 2 gives me 4, and I'll put that in the bottom right. And that's basically it. Again, the size should match the size of the originals, and this is going to be our answer. No more work needed.